Hello, dear learners. Today I welcome you for lesson 2 of chapter 1, that is measurement. Here is the contact information. If you feel any difficulty in at any point in the lesson, you can contact me. So the learning outcomes of this lesson is that you will be able to explain that why we need measuring instruments. You will be able to list the names of measuring instruments. You will be able to describe how to measure a variety of lengths using appropriate instruments. For example, tape measure, meter rule. So to cover those learning outcomes, the content which I am going to cover in this lesson is measurement of length, list of measuring instruments, meter rule, and tape measure. So let's see measurement of length. In physics, length is a fundamental and an important quantity that is often used to measure different size of objects. For example, to find how far an object has moved, we need to measure length. For example, if you see this picture, if I kick this football from here, from this point, if the ball moves toward this point somewhere here, if I want to find that how far the object has moved from here to here, I have to find the length. So we need to measure the length. It is very important quantity. Similarly, sometimes in our daily life, what happens? We have to measure that how much space an object occupies. We are required to measure length. For example, if we see in our dining rooms, we have dining tables. If we want to see that how much the dining table is occupying space, we have to measure the length of dining table. Similarly, to measure that how far apart two objects are, we have to find the length. Here in the picture you can see, if we have to measure that how far apart the football is from the goal, we have to find the length. And the SI unit of length is meter. Length is very important physical quantity. Let's see the list of measuring instruments. So when we talk about list of measuring instruments, we have a question here that why we need to measure length. We need to measure a wide range of lengths in this world, as objects around us range from the very big to the very small. So it is necessary to use appropriate instruments to measure different lengths. Instruments commonly used to measure lengths are listed below. Meter rule, tape measure. Also we call this tape measure measuring tape or cloth tape. Steel tape is also used for measuring the length. This is the meter rule. This is the tape measure, and here I have steel tape. So we have to use appropriate instruments to measure different lengths. For example, if we have to measure the length of our dining room, we have to measure which instrument from these three. This is the very important thing, that we must use appropriate instrument. We are not supposed to use tape measure there. We are not supposed to use meter rule there. We are supposed to use meter rule there. And if we are measuring the length of our dining table, then we have again to think that which instrument we have to use, either meter rule, either tape measure, or this steel tape. So meter rule can measure lengths of up to 1 meter. If we are exceeding in length from 1 meter, then we have to use steel tape. Steel tape is suitable for measuring straight distances longer than a 1 meter. And if we have to measure the length along curved surfaces. As you can see here that we are measuring the length of this ball, then we have to use tape measure. And this is also suitable for measuring the person's waist. So tape measure, or you can say measuring tape or cloth tape, is better for measuring the length along curved surfaces. So when we talk about measuring instruments, one important thing is what is the precision of an instrument? So precision is the smallest unit an instrument can measure. Think and then tell what is the smallest unit on a meter rule. If we see a meter rule, it is seen that it is 0.1 centimeter or 1 millimeter value of precision for meter rule. So remember one thing, that the thickness of piece of paper or such items is less than the precision of a meter rule. If you see, if you are having A4 sheets with you, you can't calculate the or measure the thickness of, you can't measure the thickness of piece of paper of that A4 page, because that is less than 1 millimeter or 0.1 centimeter. Therefore, you cannot directly measure the paper's thickness using a meter rule. So now here is a question, what to do then? You will have to estimate its thickness. Drop your answers as a comment on what to do and how to measure it. Measuring instruments. One more important thing, that is, how do we avoid errors of measurement? When you use a meter rule, your eyes should be positioned such that your line of sight is perpendicular to the rule. When I am saying here that your line of sight is perpendicular to the rule, it means that you must be watching the reading of that scale by placing the scale in front of you. If this will not be done, then measurement errors occur and are called parallax errors. For example, if you see here, if you are measuring the length of this bold line from 0 to, it is 4.3 centimeter. If you will watch, or if you are watching or viewing this scale from here, then the position is correct one. If you are not watching this reading from here, B point, and you are measuring the reading by this position from A position, that is wrong position. Might be possible you are measuring 4.2 centimeter. If you are measuring the reading from this C point, might be possible you are measuring 4.4 centimeter. So such positions where we are getting 4.4 centimeter and 4.2 centimeters, these wrong positions are giving us parallax errors. So correct position is this one, about which I was talking, that your line of sight is perpendicular to the rule. So here is one more example. A person viewing a car's speedometer from the driver's seat will get an accurate reading because she has a direct line of sight. For example, if you are driving a car and if you are viewing a car speedometer, then you will be able to get an accurate reading because you are sitting in front of this speedometer and you are viewing a car speedometer, then the reading will be accurate. And the person who is viewing the speedometer from the passenger seat will overestimate the reading because of the angle between his eye, the meter, and the arrow may give inaccurate value. For example, that person is sitting here in the passenger seat and watching from here might give an incorrect measurement. So measuring instrument, how do we avoid errors of measurement? Some meter rules have their zero marks at the very end of the rule, and continuously using that meter rule will face that mark of zero will be not present anymore there. So wear and tear of the meter rule may make this mark unsuitable for measuring purposes. For example, if you see here, the zero on this scale is worn out. The worn end may introduce errors into the readings. If am measuring the length of this block and I start measuring from here or from this end, what will happen? There will be an error. So what we have to do then, if we have only this meter rule, and I have to measure the length, it is better to measure from another point and subtract it from the final reading. That is, if I place this block at this end, or you can place at this end, measure the initial reading at the moment it is 2.4 centimeter, and I name it as L1. Note the reading on the other end, and this is 5.3 centimeter, and I named it as L2. Now take the difference. What I did, L2 minus L1, means that I will subtract initial value from the final one, and whatever the difference I will get, that is the length of this block. In this way we can achieve better reading of measurement. That's it. Do not forget to hit the like button. Thank you so much for today.